Hey, what's up guys? Cody with Rattlesnake Ranch, and no, I am not going to the bathroom right now, but I am in the bathroom at our facility, and that's because today's video is going to be about this really cool lizard cage that's right in front of me here. This was my first ever bioactive 3D background planted vivarium. I'm really proud of it. It's a cool setup. Anybody who has been here has probably seen it. But we're gonna show it off, and so yes, today's video will take a little breather from the rattlesnakes, and we will spend the entire video in the restroom at our facility. Hope you enjoy watching. Gotcha. All right guys, welcome to the restroom at Rattlesnake Ranch, where we have the lizard lounge, as we call it. So today's video, I'm gonna break it up into basically 3 mini parts. We're gonna talk about what kind of lizards we have in here. That'll be the first part. And then in the second part, I'm gonna talk about the plants that we have in here. And then for the rest of the video, we'll go into moderate detail into how I built this thing, including, the 3D background and all that entails. There's lots of videos about that on YouTube, so I won't go into crazy detail, but I will cover how I specifically made this. So that being said, let's dive in. All right, so for this first part, as far as what species of lizards are in here, this will be short and sweet because there's only one type. We have emerald swift lizards in this cage. So that is Sceloporus malachiticus. Hopefully I'm saying the Latin right, especially when I get to the plant part of this. But yeah, these are pretty common lizards. Unfortunately, they're mostly wild caught when you find them. They're relatively inexpensive. I think they're absolutely beautiful. They're pretty easy to keep in my opinion. The males get bright, vibrant green, and females are pretty as well, a little more camouflage. You can see little bits of green in their color, but yeah, they don't get all that big. These ones still have some growing to do, but 5-6 inches or so. And they're easy. We feed them insects, we feed them mealworms, as well as crickets, dubia roaches, red runners. We'll give them bean beetles, fruit flies occasionally. We try to give them a good variety of insects. These guys are pretty bold. They'll eat bugs right out of my hand. And we also we'll leave a bowl in there for a little while and they'll pick it clean. So in the B-roll I'm posting here of them feeding, you'll see the bugs kind of covered in, looks like powdered sugar. Those of you who don't know, that's basically a calcium supplement. And that's to make sure that these guys are getting plenty of calcium and vitamin D in their diet. But yeah, that's the type of lizards we have in here. As far as what plants are in this exhibit, so there's 3 types. The first, probably most obvious one, is this ground cover vine. This is a pretty aggressive growing fig variety, basically. This is Ficus pumila quercifolia. Hopefully I said that right for you plant people. I've seen it given lots of different names: creeping oak fig, string of frogs. Yeah, it's got a lot of common names, but pretty easy to grow. Just keep it moist, give it light, and it just takes off. Now, I was hoping this would take over the background and grow upward, but it does tend to gravitate where there is the most moisture. And so what used to be leaf litter across the bottom here is now completely engulfed in this vine, but that's all right. I think it looks awesome, so we're cool with it. The other 2 plants we have in here, next most obvious would be these ferns. And so these are Korean rock ferns. I believe the Latin is Polysticum susinense. So that's the variety. This is a relatively small fern species. I really like it because of that. It's pretty easy to grow. We got these as little starts online, and they took their time to get started, but once they got going, now it just seems like new fronds are popping up constantly. So love this fern, and it's been a good fit for this exhibit. The other plant we have going in here is this hanging moss. This is called Spanish moss, and relatively easy to get common stuff too. A lot of these plants I got from the plant bodega here in Arizona, with the exception of the ferns I got online. And yeah, all easy to grow stuff. The theme of this cage was supposed to be kind of cloud forest, which is where these lizards come from. And so that's what we ran with. I think it turned out great. You guys be the judge. But that's the lizards and the plants that we currently have growing in this. All right, so now for how I built this. So this was quite the project. It was a lot of fun. It was a little messy. I will say there are lots of videos on YouTube on building stuff like this. Tons of people in the reptile hobby. There's some people that are fantastic at it and have made some excellent videos. So to everybody whose videos I watched to get inspiration for this, thank you for posting it. I was able to do this with confidence. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. But just to name a couple, so Ever Evolving Exotics in Tucson, I follow them on Instagram, and he posted a lot of builds like this. And trying to think of some others, Mike Tatula, yeah, lots of big names on YouTube that do cool stuff like this. So go watch others if you are looking into building something like this. But hopefully this video and what I share with you gives you inspiration, same inspiration that I needed to do this with confidence. So without further ado, real quick, this is obviously an Exo-Terra cage. So this is their extra tall, I believe. And as far as I know, it's the biggest cage they make. It's 36 inches wide by 18 inches deep and 36 inches tall. And so nice big space to work with. The background comes in stages, and I'm just gonna walk you through what I did. So the very first thing I did is took a bunch of silicone, black silicone, and smeared it all over the back of the cage. And so this allows the spray foam that I'll talk about in a second to grab onto the glass much better. And so after applying silicone to the back, letting that dry, we went ahead and took all this cork bark. I laid it out roughly how I wanted it. This is what they'd call the hardscape. And then once that was kind of, decided where I wanted each piece to go, held it in place, and then applied generously some great stuff, spray foam, specifically the black, which is I think the Pond and Stone. This is an expanding foam, and yeah, it fills in the gaps and cracks, and it dries up hard and strong enough to hold this wood in place. So once that was done, this is where things get messy. Basically taking a wire brush and some razor blades, this stuff dries smooth, and so you got to kind of get rid of all the smooth outer layer, and that allows you to be able to stick the dirt and other things to the background. So after making a giant mess, we basically got rid of all the smooth parts, and then I applied another thick layer of silicone. Do this outside, that stuff has terrible fumes. And once that silicone was all on there, we just dumped a bunch of basically a background mix, which is a mixture of tree fern bark and tree fern. Let's see what else, some cocoa coir, some repti soil. I just kind of threw a lot of stuff in. Make sure it's dry, by the way, before you stick it to the background. If it's soaking wet, it's not going to stick as good. So yeah, threw all that on there, left it on its back. It was able to dry, and then flipped it up, and that's it for the background. So after the background part was done, went ahead and did a false bottom. This kind of has like a double false bottom, so or drainage layer, I should say. So the very bottom is actually a lava rock layer. There's some pumice in there too. I didn't want the white to be showing though across the bottom, so the pumice is kind of in the middle, and I surrounded it with crushed lava rock. And this is the drainage layer. Right above it, I laid down some window screen, and this basically separates the dirt from the drainage layer. Again, lots of videos on this on YouTube for cage builds. And this just allows the plant's roots option to get down to where the water is, but kind of separates it from the dirt and just doesn't make it all swampy and gross. So really important. Why I say it's a kind of double drainage layer is I think, I'm trying to remember who makes it, but it's called substratum. It's like a volcanic clay, fine kind of pebble-like stuff, and I did that right on top of the screen, and then the rest of the dirt right on top of that. And this dirt is just a blend of leaf litter, bark, repti soil, jungle mix, bunch of different stuff, and that's basically the soil for the plants. And one other thing I didn't mention that I'll go ahead and mention, I actually ran a tube through the background, so some airline tubing like for an aquarium, down to a little PVC pipe that is capped off with a bunch of holes in it, and this actually is embedded in the drainage layer. And so if I ever accidentally just oversaturate and there's too much water built up in the bottom of the cage here, there's a tube running out the back, completely hidden in the background, and it pops out underneath the stand here, and I'm able to basically siphon out any excess water that comes into the cage, at the bottom of the cage here. Some people put like an actual drain. I think some of these cages come with actual drains, but I like this system. I rarely actually oversaturate it that bad, but it's come in handy a couple times. Other details. So as you can see, this has a special top. Bailey and my buddy at Camo Cages made this for us, and he cut all the way through the Lizard Lounge text there. I put a white backing on it that is actually backlit, and so when all the lights are off, you can it just really pops nicely. I also had to make this because this cage has a lot going on. It's not just a couple lights. There is a lot going on up on the top here. We've got some plant lights. We've got some Exo-Terra terrace skylights. I'm gonna talk about those in a second because they're pretty cool. We've got, again, the LED backing for the Lizard Lounge text here. Gosh, what else? There's two basking lights, so some mini halogen lights. These are for the lizards to bask and get heat. There's a UV strip across the top, so they have their UVB coming from that. And what else am I missing? Oh, there's also a little 4-inch fan that's at a low setting just to kind of circulate some airflow without drying things out too much. As you can see, we've also got a Mist King system. I love this system. We only use distilled water with it. It's been going on this whole time. Never had any issues with it. And it mists beautifully and somehow doesn't get water spots all over the glass. So not just because it's distilled water and there's no minerals in it, but when it's spraying, it's just such a fine mist, and it tends to just, you know, I've got them at the right angle where it seems to stay off the glass, at least the front glass, which is really nice. So love the Mist King system. Now, I've also got a Reptifogger, and that's also on top here. And that one, I actually ran the pipe through a cork tube, and so the fog just comes right out the bottom, and you don't see any tubes in the cage. That turned out pretty awesome. Love that. It comes on multiple times throughout the day for several minutes, and just gives it that cool, you know, cloud forest effect. So those are kind of the guts of the cage. We've got everything on timers, and going back to the lighting, so the Exo-Terra terrace skylights are pretty cool. They have multiple settings, and including things like flashing lightning. There's like the, you know, nighttime moonlight settings. And so I don't have it running right now, but I also have a sound machine up here that plays things like thunderstorm sounds, jungle bird sounds, and all that. And so, you know, I'm in here talking right now, so I have it off, but generally speaking, we always have that on. So when people come in here, it just sounds like you're in a jungle, or we have the lights flashing like lightning, and there's a thunderstorm rain recording going. So pretty cool. That being said, I'm gonna kind of just end this with just a bunch of Zen B-roll of this cage. Things like me feeding the lizards. We'll show you the different settings with those lights. So when it's in like thunderstorm mode and nighttime mode and all that. This cage is a lot of fun. I love it. I'm really proud of it. I would love to do more someday. But definitely scratched an itch when it came to just making a cool planted bioactive cage. So anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the B-roll I'll close this video out with. We'll pick back up next week with more things rattlesnake. See you then.